So, picture this. You're about 8, 10 years old. Every day, since you are a kid, you play with your friends at recess. It doesn't matter what it is, kickball, Pokemon cards, make-believing you're pirates on the playground, or simply finding a place to play Kirby on GBA. Every day, you play with your friends. One of your friends is this older kid, maybe a grade or two above you and your other friends. Being the oldest, he's bigger, smarter, and better at every game you play. You always lose. For a while, this is just status quo. Then, one day, you decide enough is enough. You are going to win just once. From that day forth, that older friend will become your first rival. Picture the second. You're in middle school now, and as things go, you start signing up for a bunch of extracurricular activities. Those friends you made throughout elementary school, you start to see them less and less. Still, you take time out of your day to try and get together with your friends. After all, that's what friends do. Still, one day, someone, a parent or a teacher, asks you why you hang out with people who aren't good to you. Or was it good for you? Either way, you shrug it off. But those words keep echoing in the back of your skull. You start seeing your friends less and less. Eventually, one day, you see that they've made new friends. You realize that they've moved on without you. And maybe so should you. Maybe my mom was right.
The first thing you need to understand about the text of Kingdom Hearts is that there are two major agents throughout its plot. Firstly, we have the player character, Sora. Second, we have his rival, Riku. The second thing you need to know is that this story is about them, their friends, and their anxieties. The story proper begins on Destiny Islands. A lot is happening for our characters. On the surface, it's easy to read that our characters building a raft to explore other worlds is a part of the coming-of-age narrative. But interacting with Tidus, Selphie, and Wakka will give us even more insight. From this, we learn that Riku is that older kid that always wins. Even though you can spar with all the kids on the island to save Kairi, Sora only keeps a tally of his wins and losses against Riku. However, in this tally, we can also see Sora best Riku. If the player wins more matches against Riku than Riku wins against them, then that can be read as Sora growing to surpass Riku. To the same merit, Tidus recognizes Sora's growth in one line before putting forth a challenge that Riku has already completed, fighting Tidus himself, Selphie, and Wakka all at once. Whilst it isn't necessary that the player complete or even participate in most of the challenges on the island, you can guide Sora to victory. At sunset on the second day, Kairi acknowledges that Riku has become different. Sora may have grown, but Riku has too. However, Riku's struggle isn't with overcoming his rival, but proving his worth unto himself. When his friends sit together at the end of the day, he stands on his own next to them. Whilst he is with them, he is visibly separated. He is both with them and without them. You start to get the impression that Riku is slowly growing away from his friends. At the very end of this section of the game, Riku, unafraid of the darkness, reaches out to Sora. but Sora is unable to follow him. As Sora's journey begins, it seems like it'll be a simple romp through the various Disney-themed worlds. We watch as he slowly becomes a hero. He helps Alice in Wonderland without a second thought. He does not need to be asked to do heroic things. In Olympus Coliseum, Sora fights Cerberus to protect Cloud, a man he was fighting not 2 minutes ago. He will do the right thing no matter what. In Deep Jungle, Tarzan teaches Sora that he will always be able to keep his friends in his heart. Through it all, Sora walks the path of light, unwavering. He shows bravery. At the midpoint, we see Riku once again. He's been on his own journey, but the effects of that journey aren't immediately apparent. It's not until later, when we see him with Maleficent, that we see that he's been manipulated. However, it's too easy to write him off as a villain at this point. He kidnaps Jasmine, but only because he can trade her to save Kairi. He knows what he is doing is wrong, and he shows distrust in Maleficent. But what other choice does he have? Riku tries to take Pinocchio's heart in order to bring back Kairi's missing heart. As far as he sees it, Pinocchio is just an object, something that doesn't deserve a heart as much as Kairi. He continues to do the wrong thing, but his motivation is just. Riku pits himself against Sora, but they share the same motivation. Riku only wants to save Kairi, and he will do what it takes to make sure that happens. As in the beginning, Riku is not afraid to walk through darkness in order to do what he sees as right. He shows courage. At the end of the game, it is revealed that Riku is the true Keyblade Master, not Sora. Riku takes his weapon and his companions and leaves Sora with nothing but a wooden sword and a half-dead beast. Sora perseveres, making his way to the entrance hall. As he faces Riku, he makes an impassionate speech, and the text delivers its thesis. Contrary to the common reading, I'm not going to include that the point of the scene is that...
My friends are my power!
Well, it is, but there's more to it. Instead, we have to look at what actually happens in this scene. The scene starts, Beast is locked behind the door, Riku launches a dark Fire-Rog at Sora, and Goofy blocks it. Soon after, Donald joins his friends against Riku. Donald and Goofy have both abandoned the mission given to them by their king, but they've done the right thing. This runs completely counter to Riku. Riku thinks he's doing the right thing. He thinks he's saving Kairi. But even with the righteous cause and the hero's sword, he is without virtue. Sora, though he's not as blindly loyal to Kairi as Riku, and though he has no claim to heroism, shows virtue. Thus, the Keyblade chooses its own hero. What the text is saying is that a hero is defined by virtue, not by cause. And sure, that virtue is...
My friends are my power!
But I think that's the less poignant part of the scene. Now, once Riku is defeated and subsequently possessed by Ansem, that's not the end of his story. No, we get to see Riku a few more times before the credits roll. Firstly, he saves Kairi from Ansem, finally achieving his main goal, but more importantly, he helps Sora close the door to Kingdom Hearts, trapping himself inside. And here's where we get to the point of this whole video. I think it's pretty easy to look at Sora's story and see this big, optimistic coming of age. Sora becomes the hero. He wasn't born a hero, he earns the right to be called a hero. I think that it's infinitely more challenging to look at Riku's story and try to understand his failure. I mean, if I were in his shoes, I'm not sure I would know what the right thing to do is. Sure, for him it's an evil fairy witch and a cartoon pirate, but for us, nothing's ever that clear-cut. It's hard to do something that you think is wrong for the right reason. And you need it to be the right reason. You need to hold on to that. If not, then you're just the villain. But the story doesn't end there. You can still do the right thing, even if it sucks, even if you feel like you'll be lost forever. Hell, maybe doing the right thing feels like what will make you feel lost forever. Look at Riku. He didn't know if he'd ever come back after that door was closed, but that didn't stop him. He had courage. After all that, he still had some good left in him. And that's not enough to save you, but maybe it's a start. And who knows? Starting a new journey may not be so hard. Or maybe it's already begun.